Here's a question for you. What is the most widely proliferated lie of all time? The Earth isn't banana-shaped? Vaccines don't turn frogs gay? Bubbles the chimp never walked on the moon? Nothing quite so monumental. I think we all know that it's really, I have read and agreed to the terms and conditions. Honestly, who hasn't been excited to sit down and read a 32-page novella written in legalese while downloading a weather app? Spoilers, everyone. Terms and conditions aren't written for humans. They're written for lawyers, corporations, and the dark gods of bureaucracy who feed on uninformed consent. Click accept to sell your soul. Every app or device comes with a legally binding contract these days. No one bothers to read it though, and even if they did, what are you going to do? Not sign it? Sorry honey, but you don't have the option of a conditional agreement if you want to use said thing. Sometimes, buried beneath subheadings and dot points, there's a clause like, by clicking accept, you grant us the right to store your biometric data and harvest your spleen in the event of an emergency. Not that we'd know we've agreed to this. Seriously though, would you buy a car if you found a mysterious object in the glove box that happened to be ticking ominously? No one reads terms and conditions, not even the CEOs who sign off on them. Heck, most are probably written by AI nowadays, with even the lawyers barely bothering to proofread them. That's the point though, they're designed to be unreadable. Honestly, pepper spray is easier on the eyes. The user, upon execution of consent, shall heretofore waive any and all future claim to clarity, dignity, and recourse under applicable statute blah 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 Latin. Honestly, TLDR should be a legally valid defense in court these days. If a contract is longer than a high school essay and written in a dialect only Cthulhu's lawyers can understand, then I shouldn't be expected to have understood the consequences of clicking that little red square just because I wanted a cheaper phone plan. The problem is, we still cling to this outdated idea that ignorance of the law is no excuse. Mate, the fact that our society requires an entire profession to exist just to interpret the law is proof enough that it is too complex to be reasonably understood by the average non-lawyer person. More on this in a future video. Apparently, not saying no soon enough qualifies as implied consent. I don't think we need to discuss how messed up that sounds. Also, since when are companies allowed to draft legal agreements that are longer than some countries' constitutions? Seriously, if we're expected to read these things ourselves, they should at least be forced to comply with some kind of universal average person standard. I know that's a massive rabbit hole right there, but still. The point is, if I need a law degree to understand it, then maybe it shouldn't be binding. Let's also not forget some of their favourite pitfalls they love to sneak in. You can't sue them. Ever. Even if their product explodes and unalives your cat. Your data can and will be collected, sold, and used against you, mostly to rig your algorithm. And you agree to mandatory arbitration, which basically means, if we screw you over, we get to pick the referee. So, why are terms and conditions a thing? Because, in the eyes of the law, ticking a box is equivalent to making a blood pact with an elder god who controls all of space-time. Of course, just because I've clicked a button that says I've read, understood, and consented to a 10,000-word legal document within 5 seconds of loading it up, doesn't mean I actually have. But that's what they bank on. They don't want you to read these things, which is why they're written to be unreadable, burying all traces of liability. As they say, magicians never reveal their secrets, which is usually because they're all based on lies and deception. You're not being asked to consent, you're being worn down until your resolve collapses and you willingly give in. Why do you think the last button you hit always happens to say, submit? And what kind of hypocrite would I be if I didn't provide a TLDR of my own? In short, I never read terms and conditions, and neither do you. Please leave a like and subscribe. I promise you're not signing away anything. To me, at least. I can't make any promises for YouTube. Also, leave a comment about a time when you actually got burned by something buried in the fine print that you weren't expecting. As always, thanks for watching.